It's always exciting as an author to come, to get to connect to readers, to get to walk around such a beautiful library, which of course all authors hold dear, and to be able to support a local community. So it's a huge pleasure to be here today. So When You See Me was a fun writing experience for me. I bring back not one or two, but three of my main characters all in one novel. So it's a little bit almost like an ensemble cast. And one of the first times I've attempted that with, I think, fun results. The way it works is When You See Me, it opens with the discovery of skeletal remains in a small secluded town in Georgia. And the real world, if you had such a thing happen, the first thing you do is put together a task force. So that gave me the perfect opportunity to have my FBI agent, Kimberly Quincy, who we know works for the Atlanta Bureau office. Then, given they're worried about this certain killer, there's a good excuse for Dee Dee Warren from Boston to join. And of course, we have vigilante Flora Dane, who's the lone survivor of Jacob Ness and kind of the foremost expert. So everyone descends on the hills in Georgia, trying to understand what terrible thing went wrong here, only to discover it's way worse than anything they thought. Nothing in this town is what it seems, and a lot of murder and mayhem ensue. I love libraries. Like most authors, I grew up reading from my own community library when I was young. My grandmother took us every summer to do the summer reading program. We read for scratch and sniff stickers. But I was a small kid growing up in a rural town in Oregon, and to have that access to books, to be able to sit in a very, very small town and encounter the world, it allows you to hope and dream and think bigger, and I still think libraries are one of our biggest assets we have for our country. So I've always been a suspense novelist. I wrote my first book at 17, I published it at 19, and I can't completely explain this, but I've always just been drawn to a dark and stormy night. Like me and Snoopy were typing away there. Even from the very beginning, books come to me always as a crime first. And then it's that puzzle, both learning the cool police forensics details that help solve it, but what is the nature of evil? Why do bad things happen? Why do good people do bad things? All of those elements of suspense continue 30 years later to be my fascination. So 30 years later, how have I stayed motivated to continue writing? You know, it's interesting. I think particularly in suspense, things are just always changing. For my latest book, When You See Me, I had an opportunity to go back for the first time to something I'd already researched once, the body farm at the University of Tennessee. And 8 years ago, what I learned, I actually kind of went back just to double check because I was using it again, and they were already like, oh, it's all changed. We have totally different procedures. We've learned how to do this, and now we can tell that. And it was like, it was fascinating and exciting all over again. So to the extent that we never have a shortage of interesting true crimes and police procedures continue to develop, I just think there's always so many great ideas and materials and new techniques that are fun to bring to my readers. So I've been very fortunate in my career to have 4 books turn into TV movies. We are now entering this kind of fun opportunity for authors on platforms such as Netflix, HBO. So I now have 3 books actually in development, possibly to be a future Netflix series. We'll find out. If you're an author, you don't get to be terribly involved in these things, but it's always just very exciting to hear someone else loves your idea and wants to make a movie out of it. So a few things for aspiring writers out there. The first thing you need to be doing is read, 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 read. People talk about getting your 10,000 hours. In writing, you get that by reading and by writing. And doesn't matter how bad the writing is, just write, 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 write. Get those 10,000 hours in. And finally, finish what you start. Even if the idea doesn't seem as exciting anymore, you don't have a book, you don't have a short story until you reach the end. But then, no matter how bad it is, if you've reached the end, you can say you're a novelist. You're a story writer. You did it. So read, write, finish what you start. So I want to thank the North Richland Hills Library for having this fabulous behind-the-scenes author series so people like me can come from New Hampshire to talk to all the amazing people here in Texas. And I'm particularly honored for tonight's event. Thank you everyone for coming, because a portion of these proceeds go to support Safe Haven, who does phenomenal work on the part of abuse survivors, to help prevent domestic abuse. That work is so incredibly important in our communities, and I'm so excited by all the readers that came out today to support the library, to support Safe Haven, and hopefully have a fun time talking to me.